Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim, also known as shemadeknits, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to knit a scrunchie. I already made one, just so you could see the finished product, but I'm going to be using the same yarn and the same technique to make a second one, and that's the one that we will do together right now. You will need a 6mm circular needles, preferably one with a shorter cord. I believe this one is 16 inches. Scissors, a darning needle, stitch markers to hold your place. You will also need a stitch marker that opens and closes, like this purple one that I have here. This part is optional, it's just to help with the first round. I'll show you that later on. Tape measure, yarn. I'm using a cotton. I would recommend using a weight 4 yarn. A worsted weight is fine as well. And the last thing you'll need is a hair elastic. I like using the Goody brand. They're great, they work fine. Once we've rounded up everything that we need, it's time to get started. Okay, so the first step is to cast on 60 stitches. I like to use the long tail cast on, and so to figure out how long my tail needs to be, I go ahead and I wrap it around my needle very gently 10 times. Make sure I'm not pulling too tight, but I'm also not leaving it loose, right? So there's 10. I'll pinch my yarn where it ends, pull it off. So this is about 10 stitches, approximately. So I'll do 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So here is my mark. Here's all my yarn. I'm gonna add just a little bit, just in case. And then I'm gonna make a slip knot. My working yarn is on the right. My tail for my cast on is on the left. And I'm going to twist them over. So you see that, just kind of push it together and it'll twist on its own. And then take my end, put it under, pinch it, and pull through. And there is my slip knot. Onto our needle, and then we're going to pull with our yarn. Okay, so you have your fingers in between, and then you're going to close your hand around both strings of yarn. So now we're going to go under, over, and pull. That's one stitch. We hold our hands back up again. Go under this one, under that one, and through. So we're going to keep doing that until we get to 60. I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I casted on my 60 stitches. Spread them out. All right, and I did pretty good. I only have this long of a tail left. Okay guys, next up, it is time to knit. Pick up your work. Your working yarn is gonna be on the right needle, on the right side. Yeah, so again, you wanna make sure that all of these V's are straight and Mine are, they look fine. Before we start knitting, we need to put our stitch marker right here. I like to hold it down with my finger. And then I'm gonna take the working yarn with my left finger, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start knitting. I'm not gonna do any special way to join. I'm just gonna, whoops, go ahead and start. The stitches might be a little tight for the first round. That is totally normal, and that's okay. Just take your time with it. Doesn't need to be a rush. So this is optional, but this is where this stitch marker will come in if you want just a little bit of extra security in making sure that your stitches do not twist. I'll find my last stitch right here, my stitch marker, and my first stitch. Do that stitch. Stitch marker as well. Sorry if I'm doing this in such a weird way. And you too. And there we go. So you would have all three right there. And you can close that up and go ahead and continue, and it'll keep your start and your finish together and keep it straight. Once you've got yourself in the round, you just need to knit until you reach 3 inches in height. And see, it's keeping my stitches all straight, no twists, no turns, nothing. We're good. So I'll continue this and I'll come right back when I'm just about to finish my first round so I can show you what to do with this guy. Okay guys, so you can see I'm almost done my first round. I just have my last stitch that is being held by my stitch marker. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. We don't need that anymore. And then you'll have your tail here. You just want to leave that. And again, knit as normal. I like to go very gently here, just to make sure nothing falls off. And then I always like to end my round by knitting the first stitch. And then I like to pull this guy tight, just to make sure there's no gaps. So there we go. That is our first round. And we are going to continue this, like I said, until it reaches 3 inches in height. Now that we have the base of our scrunchie, we can go ahead and cast off. So you can do any cast off method you prefer. I'm just going to do something very basic. Yeah, you can follow along if you'd like. So I already knit my first stitch. Now I'm going to knit my second. And then I'm going to take my left needle, put it under the first stitch, and then bring that stitch over the first, and then drop it. And that's 1 stitch bound off. I'm going to do it again. So knit the next stitch, and now that I have 2 stitches here on my right needle, I take my left, put it through the first stitch, bring it up and over the second, and that's 2 stitches now bound off. Again, knit, over and down. And we're going to keep doing this the entire way around. I have one more stitch on my left needle, so I'm going to do the same as I have been. Knit it. Pull the first one over. All right, so we can take our stitch marker, put that away for now, and then you can go ahead and pull this loop up a little bit. Just make it a bit bigger. Take your needles out. You can put those away. And now, let's just see what we have here. Okay. So there's our tail. And here is our last stitch. So this is what we should be looking like as of right now. What we'll need is our scissors and a darning needle. Before cutting your yarn, you want to make sure that you have a decent tail. I usually do far too much, to be quite honest with you. If you're like me and you just want to make sure that you have enough, just do 30 inches or so. And don't forget, we still have to be gentle because we still have that last loop. We're gonna take our tail that we just cut, and we're gonna put it through the loop and very gently pull. Just like that. You don't want it to be too tight. The top looks a little funny. Looks a little bumpy, right? That's okay. And if you gently pull them, you can see that the V's are starting to take their normal shape again. You don't need to do this part, but it will make it easier for the seaming to be able to see all of your stitches very clearly. So the first thing that we need to do is, okay, so pick up your work and take a look. All these V's show that this is the right side. And then on the other side, you see a bunch of purl stitches. This is the wrong side. Right side? Wrong side. We want this side, the right side, to be pointing outwards. Like this, all right? So the way we're gonna do that is by going ahead and flipping this inside out. Make sure your ends are not tangled. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and just kind of fold it up. Take your elastic. Again, make sure nothing is tangled. Just kind of moving it around, making sure that we can attach the sides together. Once it's looking like this, you can go ahead and find both of your ends. Here and right here. Okay, so this one on my left is the tail that I'm going to be using to seam everything together. And then this tail right here is where we casted on our stitches. That one we can just ignore. And to just make it easier, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it just about here. You don't need to. I just want to make sure that it's very clear what I'm doing. Now we're going to use our needle. Okay. So now we're gonna sandwich. So we're gonna take our bottom half and our top half and just pinch them together like this. We're gonna be doing top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. That's kind of how it's gonna work. So my yarn currently is on the top. So I'm gonna find the bottom and I'm gonna find my first stitch, which is this one right here. I'm gonna put my needle right underneath it like this and just gently pull it through. Again, we can go ahead and just ignore this little guy. Just put that over there. Okay, so that's my first one. Now, since I picked up a stitch on the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a stitch on the top. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look. This is gonna be my first stitch. So we'll go through that. And pull. Then we'll go into this one. This guy's proving to be a little stubborn. Yep. Okay, so we did the bottom, now we go back up to the top. That stitch. Back to the bottom. Find our next stitch. I hope this is making sense. If not, then I will link a video tutorial of the one that I used to learn this method. Yeah, that'll be down below if you require further explanation. We're just gonna keep doing this, one on the top, one on the bottom, until we've gone all the way around. And once you start doing a few, you'll start to see it coming together. And as you're going, it becomes easier and easier to see which stitch you need to go into. Okay, friends, I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of this off camera, but I will come back when I have just a couple of stitches left so I can show you how to end it. I'll be back soon. Last one was on the top. Next one is the bottom. And we can tuck that in if it isn't already. We've got this one. All right, last one. Just going to continue a few more stitches. All right, and this way you can't really tell where you started and ended. And if you're like me and you like extra security when it comes to these things, you can go ahead and go back as well. Right here, go one over and then come back this way. Okay, there we go. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so to weave in this end, all you gotta do is, let's take a look where it's coming from. It's coming from this spot, so I'm just gonna put it right in there. And then I'm gonna push this down, kind of create a bit of a tunnel. Do more. Cut your yarn. And pull. And there you go. A knit scrunchie by shemadeknits. Thank you so much for following along. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next one.